In the heart of the ancient world, nestled in the rugged highlands where empires have clashed for millennia, lives a people whose story is carved into the very stone of the mountains. They are the world's largest stateless nation. They are the Kurds. Their history is a tapestry of forgotten kingdoms, brilliant dynasties, and profound betrayals. It is a story of survival against impossible odds. A relentless pursuit of freedom, echoed in an old Kurdish proverb. We have no friends but the mountains. This is that story. A journey through the peaks and valleys of a history that refuses to be erased. In the Ancient Cradle, our story begins in the dawn of civilization, in the Fertile Crescent. Ancient clay tablets from Sumer speak of the Gutians and Lalubi, fierce mountain peoples who descended from the Zagros Mountains, challenging the might of Mesopotamia. Others point to the mighty Medes, who conquered the Assyrian Empire in 612 BCE, a date that marks the beginning of the Kurdish calendar. The Greek historian Xenophon, in 401 BCE, wrote of a terrifying passage through the lands of the Kardukoi, fierce, independent highlanders who rained arrows and boulders on his retreating army. While we cannot draw a straight line, these early peoples are part of the deep ancestral bedrock of the land the Kurds call home, Kurdistan. For thousands of years, this land was a crucible of empires. The Medes, Persians, Greeks under Alexander, Romans and Sasanians all marched across these mountains, each leaving their mark. Yet, through it all, the people of these highlands maintained a distinct identity, a fierce spirit of independence nurtured by the formidable terrain. The 7th century brought a new force that would reshape the world: Islam. As Arab armies swept through the region, the Kurds, who had followed Zoroastrianism and other ancient faiths, gradually converted. But conversion was not submission. In the new Islamic Caliphate, Kurdish leaders carved out their own domains of power. The first whispers of Kurdish dynasties began to emerge. The Shaddadids, who ruled from the Caucasus Mountains, and the Marwanids, who established a thriving state centered in Diyarbakir, or Ahmed, the capital of Kurdistan. These were not mere footnotes in history. They were centers of culture and power. The Marwanids, for over a century, built mosques, bridges, and fortifications. They fostered a courtly life that attracted scholars and poets, proving that even in the shadow of great empires, a distinct Kurdish political life could flourish.
هذا الكتاب كنز من كنوز المعرفة.
Out of this landscape of competing powers, one name would rise to command the attention of the entire world: Saladin, a Kurd from Tikrit. He was a master strategist, a unifier, and a figure of chivalry respected even by his crusader enemies. In 1187, he achieved what the Islamic world had dreamed of for nearly a century. He recaptured Jerusalem. Saladin founded the Ayyubid dynasty, a Kurdish-led empire that stretched from Egypt to Syria and across much of Kurdistan. For a time, Kurds ruled over a vast and diverse empire. The Ayyubid era represented a golden age, a testament to Kurdish leadership on the world stage. It was a moment of unparalleled power and prestige, a memory that would fuel Kurdish aspirations for centuries.
I have become so great as I am, because I have won men's hearts by gentleness and kindliness.
The Ayyubid Empire eventually fragmented, but the spirit of Kurdish autonomy did not die. In the centuries that followed, a complex mosaic of powerful, semi-independent principalities, or emirates, solidified their rule across Kurdistan. The Emirate of Ardalan in the east, the powerful Baban Emirate in modern South Kurdistan, the Soran Emirate with its formidable Iron King Mir Mohammed, and the proud Botan Principality in the west. These were not isolated mountain fiefdoms. They were sophisticated political entities navigating the treacherous landscape between two colossal rivals, the Ottoman Empire to the west and the Persian Safavid Empire to the east. The epic 16th century Battle of Chaldiran sealed this fate, splitting Kurdistan between the two empires. For the next 400 years, the Kurdish emirs perfected a delicate balancing act, pledging nominal allegiance to Sultan or Shah in exchange for the right to rule their own lands, preserve their language, and lead their own army. It was in this era that the Kurdish scholar Sharaf Khan Bidlisi wrote the first great history of his people, the Sharafnama, a chronicle of kings and dynasties, cementing the idea of a shared Kurdish identity. The 19th and early 20th centuries saw the world change. The age of empires was waning, and a new idea was taking hold. Nationalism. The Kurds too began to dream of a unified, independent state. As the Ottoman Empire crumbled in the fires of World War I, that dream seemed within reach. The 1920 Treaty of Sèvres, signed by the victorious Allies and the defeated Ottomans, explicitly promised the Kurds a referendum on independence. Article 62 was the seed of a modern Kurdistan. But it was a promise written in disappearing ink. A new Turkish nationalist movement, led by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, rejected the treaty. The Allies, securing their own interests in oil and regional stability, abandoned the Kurds. The 1923 Treaty of Lausanne redrew the map of the Middle East. And on this new map, Kurdistan was gone. The land of the Kurds was carved up between four new states: Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. The lines were arbitrary, severing communities, tribes, and families. This moment, the betrayal of Sèvres, became the foundational trauma of modern Kurdish history. In the new Republic of Turkey, the denial of Kurdish identity was absolute. The state doctrine was simple. There were no Kurds, only mountain Turks.
Burası artık Türkiye Cumhuriyeti toprağıdır.
The Kurdish language was banned in public. The names of cities were changed. The very word Kurd was erased from official documents. But a people's identity cannot be legislated away. In 1921, even before the Republic was formally established, the Alawi Kurds of the Koçgiri region rose up, demanding the autonomy promised at Sèvres. The response was a premonition of what was to come, a brutal military campaign and a massacre that crushed the rebellion. In 1925, Sheikh Said led a major revolt. It was a revolt fueled by Kurdish national aspirations the Turkish state responded with overwhelming force, declaring martial law across the Kurdish regions. Sheikh Said was captured and, along with his comrades, executed. The cycle of rebellion and brutal suppression intensified.
We have endured their tyranny for too long.
From 1927 to 1930, Kurds declared the Republic of Ararat, a defiant stand for independence led by General Isa Nuri Pasha. The Turkish military launched a massive operation to crush it. During this campaign, in the Zilan Valley, thousands of civilians, men, women, and children were slaughtered in what a leading newspaper of the time called a complete cleaning.
The final devastation of this era fell upon the region of Dêrsim, a heartland of Alewi Kurds. Under the guise of a civilizing mission, the state unleashed a genocidal campaign from 1937 to 1938. Led by their spiritual leader, Sayyid Riza, the people of Dêrsim resisted. The state answered with aerial bombardment, some of it carried out by Atatürk's adopted daughter, Sabiha Gökçen, poison gas, and summary executions. Tens of thousands were killed, and their survivors were forcibly deported. Dêrsim was silenced. The struggle was not confined to Turkey. In Iran, during the chaos of World War II, another spark of hope emerged. With Soviet backing, Iranian Kurds established the Republic of Mahabad in 1946. For less than a year, the Kurdish flag flew over a self-governing territory. Qazi Muhammad, a respected jurist, served as its president. The Kurdish language was taught in schools, a national theater was opened, and a sense of nationhood blossomed. But, like so many Kurdish dreams, it was short-lived. Once the Soviets withdrew, the Iranian army moved in. The Republic was crushed. Qazi Muhammad, refusing to flee, was publicly hanged in the very square where he had declared his nation's birth.
You can take my life, but you cannot kill the dream of Kurdistan. That dream lives in the hearts of my people.
In Iraq,
The Kurdish experience was a long, bloody struggle against successive authoritarian regimes, culminating in the rise of Saddam Hussein and the Ba'ath Party. Under the leadership of Mustafa Barzani, the Kurds waged a relentless guerrilla war from their mountain strongholds. They achieved periods of limited autonomy, only to see them violently revoked. But nothing could prepare them for the late 1980s. Saddam's regime unleashed a campaign of unimaginable horror, designed to solve the Kurdish question once and for all. It was called Anfal. Anfal was a systematic genocide. The Iraqi army swept through the Kurdish countryside. Men of fighting age were rounded up, taken to deserts in southern Iraq, and executed in mass graves. Over 182,000 people were disappeared and murdered. On March 16, 1988, the world witnessed the campaign's true face. Iraqi jets dropped a cocktail of poison gas on the town of Halabja, killing 5,000 men, women, and children in minutes. The images shocked the world, becoming an indelible symbol of Kurdish suffering. The destruction continued into the next decade. In Turkey, the conflict between the state and the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, reached a fever pitch in the 1990s. The state's counterinsurgency strategy was devastating. An estimated 5,000 Kurdish villages were systematically destroyed and wiped off the map. Thousands of civilians were murdered in extrajudicial killings. Millions were forcibly displaced from their ancestral lands and deported to the cities of Western Turkey, in a deliberate policy to sever them from their roots. It was a war on the very existence of the Kurdish people in their homeland. The aftermath of the 1991 Gulf War finally brought a dramatic shift. As millions of Kurds fled Saddam's revenge, the international community, under pressure from public opinion, established a no-fly zone over northern Iraq. In the shelter of this safe haven, the Kurds seized their destiny. They held elections and established the Kurdistan Regional Government. For the first time in modern history, a stable, functioning Kurdish autonomous region was born. Despite internal divisions and external threats, the KRG has become a beacon of what is possible. Then, in the 21st century, the chaos of the Syrian civil war gave birth to another, even more radical experiment. In northern Syria, Kurds, inspired by the democratic confederalist ideology, established the autonomous administration of North and East Syria, widely known as Rojava. This was a revolution founded on principles of direct democracy, gender equality, and ecological sustainability. At its heart was a simple, powerful slogan that would echo around the world. Jin, Jiyan, Azadi. Woman, life, freedom. Kurdish women, leading fighters in the YPJ, became the face of the global fight against ISIS, defeating the brutal caliphate in battles like Kobani and Raqqa. They were fighting not just for their own freedom, but for a new vision of society. Today, the Kurdish story remains unfinished. In Iraq, the KRG navigates the complexities of a volatile region. In Syria, the Rojava revolution fights for its survival, caught between the hostility of Turkey, the Syrian regime, and the waning attention of its former allies. In Iran, the cry of Jin, Jiyan, Azadi became the anthem of a nationwide uprising following the death of Gina Amini, a young Kurdish woman in the custody of the morality police. And in Turkey, the Kurdish question remains the nation's most profound and unresolved issue, with millions still denied fundamental cultural and political rights. From the Gutian warriors to the philosophers, from the court of Saladin to the trenches of Kobani, the Kurdish journey is one of epic resilience. It is a history marked by golden ages and genocides, by promises made and promises broken. It is the story of a people who, when abandoned by the world, learned to rely on themselves and their oldest, most steadfast allies. The struggle for recognition, for justice, and for a place on the world's map continues.
Freedom for Kurdistan!
The Kurds remain a people defined by their land, their culture, their language, and their unyielding dream of freedom. A dream protected as ever by the mountains.